right through my fingers. It slipped right through my fingers. You said never let me go. It never worked out fine. I watched it fall.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the O's live stream. Welcome back to the OWC 2025. Today, we're gonna be here to see the fourth match of Group E. We are just coming right off a extremely heated match. I believe that was Taiwan versus Denmark, as well as, China versus Thailand, if I'm not mistaken. I believe Subaru was also involved in that cast as well. So we are keeping up with the huge match gauntlet that we have for you tonight, this afternoon, or, this morning for wherever you are in the world. Joining me in the cast today, my name is Gary Criolla, and my co-cast will be Subaru Armia. Subaru, how you doing, man?
Hello again. As you did mention, this is my second cast of the day after China-Thailand, which was a huge banger, by the way, so I'm doing great.
Yeah.
Looking on another interesting match as well. This time we're circling through the contenders group with Malaysia, Denmark. And so to recap so far, as you did mention, Denmark earlier played Taiwan and unfortunately got swept by them, but not without a fight, with a few good scores, most notably on the hiddens, which I think is going to be a good path for them in this match. And on the side of Malaysia, we have a team that has managed to win their first match against Vietnam on the score of 5-3. So once again, a close showing for Malaysia. They were also lacking one of their players, and that in Zeth.
Really?
So that is interesting that they were able to pull this win off without arguably one of their best players, especially at this stage of the tournament. So it will be interesting. Very interesting. The stakes are high for both of these teams. A bit more comfortable of a position to be in for Malaysia, as they already have won one. And Denmark, we're going to be looking for a little bit of redemption after that heavy loss against Taiwan, which is looking like the favorite of their group.
Yeah, definitely, right. And I would just like to mention, we are just coming out of Denmark's previous matchup against, I believe, Taiwan. Despite the fact that it was a 5-0 stomp in favor of Taiwan and they were defeated, I still do think that, there is some merit to talk about perhaps them being much more warm than their Malaysian counterparts in this matchup. I think Denmark have a lot of momentum going into a matchup such as this one, and despite being at a 4-C differential against their opponents, I still do think that Denmark is going to be able to put up a pretty damn good performance. But as we get into the picking of the ban order, and in fact, the first few bans of the matchup in general, what are we looking at, Subaru? I think from the previous match, the main takeaway, as we were talking about, was that Denmark really hates all the double time. They hate speed because they seem to be having some fourth player syndromes on most of their speed maps. So if I had to guess, I would definitely anticipate a speed ban coming in from Denmark, but they're instead going to go the other way on the skill set spectrum and instead go into the No Mod 3 ban.
Yeah, that is a very interesting ban because, as you did mention, they are heavily fourth playered on the tapping department, so I did not see that Noma 3 ban come, but then again, if you're gapped on the reading as well, you might as well go for it, as tapping is probably a bit more comboable even if you're not comfortable with it. And on the side of Malaysia, you also don't have as much of an overlord tapping roster as you could find on the Taiwanese team, so we're gonna get the No Mod 1 ban from Malaysia. That is interesting as well, as I don't think this is not a common map to see banned, especially that early in the tournament, so perhaps just wanting to avoid the nerves of playing in No Mod 1, but I did not expect those bans. This is surely interesting for the opener of this match.
Yeah, and I don't mean to interrupt you, Subaru, but like
Go right
Malaysia on paper seems to be the team that is stronger when it comes to your raw aim mechanics, right? But instead, we're seeing a repeat of our or a complete flipping of the script when it comes to our expectations. Malaysia, in fact, going for the mechanics ban, and Denmark going for the control ban. This is extremely interesting to me, especially when you're comparing the qualifiers results, right? And Malaysia pulls ahead when it comes to the No Mod 1. So it really begs the question, perhaps, as you mentioned before, Subro, maybe they're just afraid of the low SR No Mod 1 curse, but even so, I can't help but feel as though there were better bans for Malaysia here.
Yeah, and we're hitting the first pick now, and it is going to be Nomad 2 coming from Malaysia. Very, very logical pick, as we did mention. Denmark really suffering from the fourth player syndrome on the tapping, and this is a tapping pick for sure. Not a DT1, but still quite a good way to start up the match. A short map, bursty, speed. I think Malaysia is going to be comfortable with this pick, and unless Denmark can make something happen that they unfortunately could not make happen versus Taiwan, I think on paper it looks like it's a very good pick for Malaysia to open the match. Let's see if they actually have all 8 players this time.
Yeah, definitely, right? I think drawing a comparison to their previous showing on No Mod 2, Denmark got what 2.2 mil, and you know, on paper that doesn't sound like a very damning score, but when you're in group stage, when the SR is so low, when you are on a map where you're already expecting to see 3-4 FCs coming in from both sides of the playfield, 2.2 mil is definitely not where you want to be started with, especially going into such a volatile map such as this one, right? But without further ado, I mean, I'm gonna highlight this map a bit more. This is a custom map by the lovely Ropam, and it's essentially 2 minutes and around 20 seconds of 230 BPM shred. All gonna be about those, those very intense tapping patterns. I believe the burst cap out at around 11 to 12 on this map. Maybe a little bit more during the perfect stack streams that we'll probably be seeing later on in the map. But I want to more so highlight the drain of this map. I was talking about the volatility. I'm going to once again bring us back to that point. 2 minutes and 20 seconds, very short map. And so any sort of large combos, any sort of combo lead, and interestingly enough, perhaps accuracy will also be a very important point of contention going into a map like this. So we're going to see the debuting rosters come out from both Malaysia and Denmark. I believe Denmark is going to maintain their previous roster from their previous match. And with that, let's see how this first map goes.
Yeah, and we do see Mint Breeze rename of Zeph actually entering this time, so it is good to see that Malaysia have possibly all 8 of the players. We haven't seen all 8 yet, but hopefully a full roster for them today to face off Denmark, as despite Denmark being the lower seeded team in this group, you don't want to take them lightly, especially when you see some of the scores they were able to pull off against Taiwan. So it is positive to get started with all 8 players on the side of Malaysia, as we do see a couple of early misses on the side of Denmark right off the bat. Not looking too great in this intro.
Yeah, 100% right, Subaru. And you know, accuracy is typically a very good indication of a player's comfort when it comes to these mechanics maps. And as of right now, you know, the accuracy is definitely in favor of Team Malaysia. Harumi, Enna, and Ma Bayu are currently pulling ahead with double 99s from their side. Meanwhile, Pole continuing to find misses, not able to get any sort of footing, while Malaysia is still racing ahead with a 4-way onslaught from the entire Malaysian roster. Sobu and Nordkill really need to fend up against the storm as Mats tries to get that recovery, but Mats is not gonna get far. He finds the miss as you move into the kick sliders.
So still holding strong as Malaysia with this 4-way full combo, almost 4-way 99% accuracy as well. And as you mentioned, Denmark unfortunately just not being able to keep up. The accuracy is not looking too bad, but as Mavs makes this once again, that's one of the high combos now. It's only Sobu and Orkill to keep any hope alive for Denmark, but unfortunately on this, that was quite the act drop on the side of Denmark. And after the scoreboard, I think, Malaysia is going to see they're comfortably in the lead, and it's pretty much already over for this opening pick.
Yeah, no, a phenomenal first pick, albeit from Team Malaysia, right? That's exactly how you want to start your match. Still, we are going to the last of the map. The question is not whether they win this now, it's how far can they take it? They're looking to get some extra style points on their opening pick as they are still staring down a 4-way FC. No kill goes down. That is one of the two FCs, one of the two remaining bastions for Denmark down. And it's just Sobu left, the toy with the sharks in the water. Oh my goodness, scoreboard opens. They're looking to take it all the way. 3, 2, 1, here we go. Mabayu unfortunately finds the miss, but that's still 3 big combos from the side of Team Malaysia. That scoreline has already generated a whopping 800k for the left side. And what a dominant victory. They're taking Denmark all the way to the slaughterhouse on this first pit.
Yeah, as you mentioned, what a way. Oh my god. What a way to start the match for Malaysia. What a team score. Look at that. How about that 3-way full combo? Yeah, that is such the confidence booster. And Sobu on the side of Denmark did all he could, but unfortunately just came short of 3 players on the Malaysian team. What a team score. Yeah, honestly, it is great to see how hard they're hitting already in the first map. And also, you love to see the contrast on the Malaysian team between Zef being there, being kind of the youngster on this roster, the new prodigy, and Rampax being the old veteran. Some of those teams have players who have been around for a very long time. Rampax is one of them, has been there for Malaysia since 2015, I believe, and still pulling off FCs in 2025, 10 years later. What a strong opening pick for Malaysia. Now Denmark to retaliate, and both hiddens are open, and they did get a very good team score against Taiwan on hidden 1, so perhaps a good pocket pick for them and a good opportunity to get one on the board early on in the match for Denmark.
Yeah, definitely, right? I mean, it's back to the drawing board for Denmark. This No Mod 2 loss, I don't think they're too, you know, put down by that. I think this is really one of those maps where they were probably expecting to not do too hot on, and you know, they're just gonna move on into their next pick, and we in fact see them pivoting into a free mod 2 pick. I think this is also their first pick in their previous matchup against Taiwan, and their overall team score was a lot stronger on a map like this. Just to draw a quick comparison to their previous showing on this free mod 2, I believe they got a pretty respectable 2.9k, with I Am Bill really pulling the team ahead with that no mod anchor. So yeah, I will be interested to see how they do on this, especially when if you take this map as a sort of comparison to your typical no mod 2, or the typical no mod 2 that you would see in your tournaments. This is a 195 BPM stream map, just with you know, tossing on the mods hidden and hard rock for both of these teams. So really just gonna test your stream, your modded stream consistency for the modded players, and your no mod stream consistency for, you know, the rest of the no mod anchors. And if you're looking close, Subaru, I do believe that Denmark in fact pulled up pretty far ahead in comparison to Team Malaysia when it came to that no mod 2 performance in qualifiers. So if that's any good, if that's a good analog to compare, I mean, I think this is a very, very good pick for Denmark.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. It's probably not the first pick I expected, but honestly, you see the score they managed to pull off against Taiwan. Despite losing the map, it was one of the closer maps, and Taiwan is the top team in this group seeding-wise, so, you know, you can't blame them for losing it. And honestly, yeah, looking at this roster on the side of Denmark, I am confident that they will be able to pull off a decent score. The tapping should not be that much of an issue for them. It is more of a flow aim intense map, so hopefully something happens for Denmark. They even perhaps manage to improve their score compared to last match and get a first point on the board, avoid the momentum to shift too hard in Malaysia's favor so early in the match. As the best of 9s, the momentum can swing quite quickly. An opening breakpoint is all it takes, you know? So hopefully Denmark get it together and put a point on the board.
Yeah, they really need to put a stop to Team Malaysia. Losing out on your first pick, or losing out on the first map by 1.1 mil is definitely not going to be too hot for the mental game. But I mean, they've done this before, you know, they've lost pretty badly on the no mod 2, so if I were them, I'd just look past it. But we're going to see Ironville and Sitas being the 2 substitutes for the Danish roster. Meanwhile, I don't think we see any roster switches on the side of Team Malaysia. Quick assessment of the mods being taken by both sides. It looks like we have no over mods, and yeah, there's nothing more to be said. Harumi, Anna, and Zef gonna be the main no mod anchors, while Sitas and Ironville will be carrying the no mod for the right side. this map all about the almost 200 BPM flow aim patterns, flow aim streams, and we're instantly gonna see the angular changes come in to attack the players. Sitaf gonna be the first one to find the miss, but Harumi, Anna, and Minbreeze, they both find a miss. Now the early scoreline is gonna go in favor of Denmark as they're 3-2 in terms of FCs.
As you mentioned, so far a strong opening for Denmark on this map. The accuracy as well is looking very good for them compared to Malaysia's, as they found a couple of those early chain misses on one of these streams. And also Rampax down to 97. And now chain missing as well. Rampax, it is going to be traded by the Hard Rock on the side of Denmark though. So Pole trading it, but not nearly as messy of a miss than Rampax. So yeah, so far looking good for Denmark.
Yeah, things are looking up.
Sorry.
Things are definitely looking up for no worries. Things are definitely looking up for the Danish roster, but Sobu unfortunately finds the miss. Ironville now the only FC left on the side as Pole loses their supporting combo, and suddenly Malaysia's on the pursuit for that scoreline. The double 400s are definitely doing them justice, supporting Mabayu's current FC, and oh my goodness, it's looking more and more rough as it switches over towards the left side. There is absolutely no response from the Danish roster, and Malaysia are gonna hold that baton and run a mile.
Yeah, Ironville and Sidas doing everything they can, but on the side of Malaysia, it is still the hidden FC on Mabayu. Very, very solid accuracy as well, and the recoveries on Zeth and Harumi Enna are just too strong. Pole with that massive chain miss earlier lost a lot of score. And despite the decent team score once again on the side of Denmark, not quite replicating what they managed to pull off against Taiwan, it is Malaysia flying away with the lead, and Sidas finding a miss as well. And that is unfortunately just going to be it for them, as Mabayu still FCing on the hidden with the extremely high accuracy. Mid-freeze following, Mabayu finally missing, but still, Malaysia doing more than enough to get the first breakpoint of the match.
Yeah, Ironville, try as he may, really carrying his team with that almost 900k score towards the end of the map, but it is not gonna be enough. It just seems as though the rest of the Danish roster couldn't pull off the feat that they performed going up against Taiwan. I mean, they got 2.9k, oh my goodness, 2.9 mil in their previous matchup, and you know, if they got that score, if they repeated that feat, would have been more than enough to take out Team Malaysia. But you know, what is past is past. That's going to be the first breakpoint going to Malaysia as they secure a 2-point lead over against their adversary.
Yeah, it has to be frustrating when you know that if you had managed to pull off the same team score as you did in the previous match, you would have won. I hope that Denmark recover mentally from this loss, because you can't just stick to this score, and you got to move on. The match is not over. It's only 2-0. Malaysia still have some picks coming, but Denmark also with other opportunities. You still have that hidden one that's open, so hopefully they don't take it too hard. But now Malaysia with the opportunity, and you are looking at that DT2 if you're on Malaysia, and you know that Denmark is heavily speed abusable in this map pool. And it is going to be DT2 coming right out from Malaysia. Gami, I don't want to call it too early, but this is not looking too good for Denmark.
Oh my goodness, Subaru. You know I hate to do it. You know, the mechanics abuse, as a person who has been on the receiving end of mechanics abuse time and time again during my run as a tournament player, this hits different, dude. This hits so different. Again, we were talking about how Denmark really suffers from fourth player syndrome on all of the speed maps, hence why, you know, we are anticipating bans on the speed coming in from the Danish roster. And this map is no different. Again, not killed, I believe, during that matchup against Taiwan, really struggled to fill that fourth player for the Danish roster. And even if they were able to fill in the roster, the rest of the, it's not like the rest of the players could, you know, put out that FC in order to supplement a good support from not killed. So oh my goodness, it's so rough, especially when you take into account, right, this is a 255 BPM pure speed cap test, so it's as divisive as a speed map can get in group stage.
It has been a very popular pick this weekend so far. A lot of teams like to go the route speed, and we're seeing one roster change on the side of Malaysia, with No Head making their first appearance in the match, and Sobu and Mats taking their spots. I mean, I wonder if they're going to go for the same 4 slots, the same roster of Denmark, as they did play it earlier against Taiwan and were heavily fourth playered. We had Sobu, Mats, and Pole, who were more or less able to play the map, and then Northfield unfortunately struggling, but perhaps maybe more mashable, comboable for Northfield. Now he's a bit more warm, so like I said, I don't want to bury Denmark too early, but it is not looking too good on paper for them for this Malaysian pick. It is looking quite strong.
Yeah, no. And that goes for any sort of speed pick. I think that's the real issue with a matchup such as this one, right? When your opponents have such a clearly telegraphed picking sequence, it's very hard to really break into the fortress that is Malaysia on speed, or play around your weaknesses in speed, especially when you only have one miss, right? Being bad at speed is such a damning disadvantage to have in the group stage, and it's honestly very, very rough. But never say never. Subaru, we always look on the bright side. Let's see how these teams perform on this double time too. Once again, all gonna be about that 255 BPM 8-note shred.
Already seeing a couple of act drops, not all of them on the side of Denmark though. And the first miss is on Malaysia actually, mid-breeze.
Okay, that's right. I mean, if you like to see it, right, Subaru? I mean, not just hate watching Malaysia right now, but as it stands right now, really, I go back to talking about how the accuracy is a determining factor when it comes to how consistent, how comfortable you are on the BPM, and the accuracy is definitely in favor of Team Malaysia. We see three misses, Harumi, and no head coming down, and now there's only one FC on the side of Rampax. Sobu, Matt, Nordkill, and Pull are all pulling the score together. They are barely scrapping by with a 70k score lead as we move into the second quarter of the map.
Okay. We're not quite halfway through yet. Sobu finds the first one for Denmark. There's still 3 FCs though. Nordkill is fully embracing the combo game now. Down below 90% accuracy, still full comboing. Mads misses though. That's not the miss you want to find if you're Denmark. It's still only 1 FC on Rampax and the strong recovery on Mid-Breeze, as No Head and Harumi are also starting to recover. The combo is now slightly shifting back to Malaysia in terms of advantage, and the score bar is flying slowly towards the red, but No Head misses again. It is traded by Nordkill, and the hope is still there for Denmark, man. They can still do it. It is quite close.
No, all the Danish believers believe as Rampax finds the miss. Suddenly the scoreline is looking way too competitive for Comfort. We get into the finger control section. Here's where the doubles, the triples, the very weird aim patterns come to catch these players. Who falls? No Head is the one to go down, and Pool is looking to turn some hits as Arumi falls with him. It's just that to hold back the floodgates, but unfortunately Pool will run, but he will not run far. Mid-Breeze, the only remaining large combo in the lobby. After that onslaught, after that bombardment of a speed section, as we race into the last quarter, Zeth looking to take it all the way for his country.
Zeth doing the job for Malaysia, but Harumi misses once again. A lot of misses on Malaysia. It is only a 40k difference. Slightly rising now, but Zeth, I think, with the combo and pull on that last miss, unfortunately, is gonna finally put an end to this struggle on the favor of Malaysia, getting the third point on the board. But man, this was a scrappy pick, and this was hard. And the hope was really there. Nordkill, the score improvement from barely 170k to almost 500k. The combo game for Nordkill, 0 miss A rank. What a Chad score.
What a Chad score indeed. You love to see it. 88% at in my OWC. This is what I'm here to see. This is why I cast tournaments, Subaru. Oh
yeah,
man.
You love to see it. You love to root for the underdog, and we nearly saw it, man. Gami, it was so close on this map.
Almost.
Perhaps giving a bit more of hope for Denmark, and you gotta pick that hidden one now. Surely it's hidden one coming up next.
Oh, please, I would love to see the hidden one. Really, Denmark has no reason to stray from their original game plan against Team Taiwan, because for what it's worth, they only lost all their picks that they did in their matchup against Taiwan was because they were facing the #1 team in the group. I mean, Taiwan, I think without a doubt, most of us expect Taiwan to be the top performer overall in the group. And so for that reason, I think if Denmark goes up against a lower seeded opponent, they definitely have some opportunities to hopefully turn some hits. But we're definitely gonna have to wait and see as to what comes out. Are there any other picks that really catch your eye? I'm maybe thinking one of the more gambly picks. But I don't know. I don't know if there's a lot that Denmark can really play into.
There probably are some other opportunities, but when you're down 3-0 in a best of 9, you just gotta go for the pocket pick. You just gotta go for the pocket pick. And it is Hard Rock 1 actually. Okay. No hidden 1. Hard Rock 1, interesting route for Denmark. How about that? Like, not a bad pick on paper, but definitely not the map I was expecting looking at the team scores they were able to pull off against Taiwan. So All right, maybe they got something. Maybe they got some intel in Malaysia, and I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this pick. I was not expecting it, but maybe they can make something happen.
Well, I'm gonna try to rationalize a pick like this. I mean, on paper, this honestly doesn't seem as bad as a pick as it first implies. You know, Denmark did pull ahead in front of Malaysia when it came to the qualifiers. Harvard 1, of course. Both maps are not very close analogs to each other, so not the best judgment. But I think a better map to point to is the qualifiers Nomad 1, where it was still very, very close. Malaysia was higher than Denmark in terms of the qualifier performance by around 30k, but I would still say that it's competitive. So if you were to, twist some screws, really look at it from the right angle, this Harvard 1 pick seems like it could be a good pick for Denmark. And I guess while we're at it, we can talk a bit about the alternative, right? The hidden one, the opportunity cost that was foregone. The hidden one in quals, I believe, was pretty, I wouldn't say similar to the one that we have in group stage as well, but, in terms of that control genre, it could be somewhat related to each other. And even then, both maps were very, very heavily contested between both countries, despite Denmark, I believe, having a measly, 500 point differential on the hidden one in qualifiers. So maybe the hidden one wasn't as clear cut of a pick as we first anticipated. But regardless of whether or not it was expected, Subaru, I am so hyped to see this song being played this match. I love Alien Friend Request, dude.
I think it is a fan favorite indeed. Like a lot of love has been given to this map and this song, so glad to see it. It is not the hidden one, but we love to see it. We love the hype of the Hard Rock one, and also seeing the first appearance of the Beast Yona on the side of Denmark. So maybe something happening there. The roster reshuffling. Iamville being the core player for this one, and on the side of Malaysia, we also have a couple of changes. I believe this is the first appearance of Chiyu in this match, alongside Chibi Maruko.
Yeah, that's right. They're making their in-match debut. Love to see it. Hopefully, some banjo issues. Hopefully, that clears up as always. And we are off to the races. Here we go. It seems as though both countries finding some early misses. Rampax and Chiyu going to open up the lobby with a few misses alongside Sobu on the side of Team Denmark. Gonna push an early lead in favor of Team Denmark, but there's a lot more to be anticipated. I think this map, Subaru, is not your typical Hard Rock 1. A lot of kick sliders and a lot of weird tapping sections as well. Really, it tests a whole genre of very diverse mechanics. As I'm speaking, Zeph finds another miss, and in fact, that's going to compound the lead further and further towards the right side as we move into the second quarter.
Oh, Chibi as well now, so maybe an opportunity on this Hard Rock 1. The first point on the board possible for Denmark now. It is only about a quarter through in the map. Chiu misses now. Also, that is a lot of misses for Malaysia. No FCs left. Still 3 full combos on the side of Denmark. Quite the strong showing in this intro, but don't fumble now. Pole is going to be the first one to drop, but still Iamville and the Beast Yona for his first appearance in the match. Still full comboing this Hard Rock 1. As I say it though, the slider break.
Yeah, no, the miss from the Beast Yona not gonna do them any favors, but that is quite a bit of safety net that Denmark have generated because of the large combos that Pole and Jonah were able to generate in the earlier sections of the map. Currently, Rampax and Mimbreeze are looking to make the difference and knocking on the door, but Rampax gets killed by the eviction notice as Sobu, Iamville, and now, I mean, it looks like the Denmark roster are just so much more comfortable. We get into the aim control section, we get into the flow aim, and Iamville unfortunately finds a miss, but that's a 300k lead in favor of the right side. They need more blood to spill if Malaysia wants to bring this back. Zeph currently leading the charge, currently leading the counter attack. 700 combo. As we move into the last third of the map, we get into a calm before the storm, the eye of the hurricane, if I may. But after this, it's full throttle into the final KI of the map.
Yeah, not out of the woods just yet. Sobu absolutely needs to hold that combo as long as he possibly can, because Mintfreeze and Chiyu are right there on his back, ready to steal the opportunity as soon as it presents itself. So Sobu holding for Denmark so far. The score lead is pretty much frozen. It's around that 285k, and the Beast Yoda and Chiyu are going to trade, and I think that's just it now with Sobu with the big combo. Iamville is going to miss for one, but we're running out of time for Malaysia, and as we get closer and closer to the end of the map, Gummy, I think Denmark have done it. I think they're going to get the first win on the board.
We just don't know Bo. This Hard Rock 1 pick was actually just ingenuity from the Danish roster, and it just goes to show that at the end of the day, know yourself, and you shall never lose another fight. But, and deep shit aside, we move into the last KI of the map, and Sobu's looking to run all the way. Zeph, try as he may, he's just trailing on his tail, but he will not get far once again. Trips and falls as Sobu, 1.4k combo and counting. And we move into the kick sliders, we move into the sliders. Sobu finally goes down, but it does not discount from just how incredible that performance was from the entire roster. What a stellar way to win that first pick. Or that second pick, well, that first point on the board.
Yeah, it was Sobu with the top score, but also two 500Ks, solid backup for Sobu on the side of Denmark, getting them the first point on the board. And now it is getting a bit more interesting because you have Malaysia with another pick, but then you still have that hidden one that is open for Denmark. So possibly the opportunity for maybe even a second point on the board. This is good. You love to see it. You love to see it. The Hard Rock 1 performance for Denmark working out for them.
Yeah. I mean, if there was ever a comeback to be had, it has to start now. You know, it all starts with 1 point, and I think this is a very good point to win for Denmark. For what it's worth, you know, in the earlier picks, we definitely saw that Denmark can be competitive on some of the tapping maps, which actually gives me a lot of optimism for the future DT picks. I know DT1 and DT3 all have some sort of tapping aspect into it, but they more so focus on, you know, more diverse tapping skill sets. I believe DT3 is a bit more swing in nature and a lot more weird aim as well, while DT1 is a lot more about your hardcore speedy aim mechanics. And for what it's worth, you know, Denmark won on that Hard Rock 1, so this DT1, if anything, looks a bit dangerous for Malaysia if they are even beginning to think about it. But it's back to the drawing board for Team Malaysia. What do we think we're gonna go for, Subaru? Okay, wait, no, okay, well, I just don't know, Bo. I guess you're going to DT1.
You love to see the surprises. Okay. You always...
Okay.
Well, yeah, welcome in the analyst seat. You always theorize, you always think you know what you're doing, and you know what you're saying, and then you get surprised like that. The DT1 comes out from Malaysia.
Oh man. This DT1, I believe this is a custom map by Lucian. I believe this is the custom map that Miles forced out of Lucian, so, you know, you love to see it, the Miles propaganda. If you guys know, you know. Believe this is your cookie cutter bread and butter double time one. Map clocks in at a pretty fast, a pretty speedy 237 BPM. And once again, as per all the DT maps, it's on the relatively shorter side, coming in at 2 minutes and 43 seconds drain. Once again, volatility, I think, is the name of the game, especially on you know, the slot that is DT1, where we're probably gonna be expecting 4 ways from both rosters.
We are seeing quite a few shuffles in the rosters, and we're gonna see Abisiona coming in for this one as well. Was not present on the DT2 roster, I believe, and just shows how different those skill sets are between the DTs, so hopefully a bit closer showing than we had on Malaysia's opening pick on Nomad 2. With that said, the DT2 with being very, very close sure is maybe a bit of a sign of hope for Denmark to make something happen there on the pick of their opponents. They're still down to breakpoint, so you gotta start making something happen there. Pol is gonna be the final player for them. The good lucks are in the chat, and we are gonna go into this map. Malaysia looking to secure match point.
Yeah, I'm gonna come a little bit back to the analyst desk, Subaru, and try to really think about what this exact pick means in the context of this match. And, you know, I don't really know why Malaysia decided to go for a double time one. First off, you know, you're the higher seeded team. You typically don't really need to take a more RNG route such as the DT1. Second, you just lost on the Hard Rock 1, which is also another high AR map. And third, I mean, your double type 2 was so close. Do you really want to double down into the DT after you were given a run for your money on your own DT2 pick? I mean, we'll just have to wait and see if this pays off for them. Welcome to Desire Shooting.
I agree that on paper this wasn't the most predictable pick for Malaysia. However, the skill sets are quite different between those two DTs. You're more aim focused, as we do find the first miss on No Head though. Hopefully not a sign of too much discomfort on the side of Malaysia, and surely they picked this for a reason, so probably very strong
ominous miss. Very ominous miss from No Hit.
Yeah, we saw an early miss on the side of No Head. The accuracy still carrying Malaysia, and is only now switching to Denmark with that combo advantage. But it is early in the map. You did say, though, it is not the longest map in the world, so those misses are going to start mattering a bit more as we move on in the map. But so far, Denmark looking pretty solid in this intro, as the Beast Yona is going to be finding the first miss on the side of Denmark, and now it is evening out the grounds a little bit more between the two teams.
Yeah, no hit on the recovery, gonna push that scoreline just barely in favor of Team Malaysia. Rampax, Harumi, and Anna and Zeph really doing wonders with the accuracy. I mean, Denmark is staring down a triple 99 for them right now. And even though, you know, the rest of the response is there from Denmark, it's getting weakened as Mads finds the miss. Sobu and Pule are now left to fend against the four-way at this point. Dominance from Team Malaysia as the scoreboard opens. And this is where the nerves start to kick in. And you do not want nerves on a map this volatile.
Yeah, and you look at those accuracies as well, and the full combos on the side of Malaysia. Really, really high, completely in control. And Pol and Sobu still doing some work for Denmark. Unfortunately, those few misses on the side of Denmark not really helping, with No Head as well recovering on the side of Malaysia. It's almost a four-way FC at this point.
Yeah, that's right. The situation is... Yeah, no, I mean, the accuracies are so scary, right? And even if they didn't have the accuracies, the misses from Mads is really struggling to get this combo going as we move into the last third of the map. I mean, we get into the aim spam section. I think this is the most intensive section of the map, and if we want to see miracles happen, it has to happen now. That is progress. Zeph finding the miss, and now things are getting more and more competitive, but there is no response from the Danish roster as Pool continues to find misses. Last quarter of the map, the clock is ticking, and it's a 500k scoreline in favor of Malaysia. I mean, accuracy, the accuracy from Sobu be damned. Combo is the prerequisite as we move into that last KI of the map. No hit right behind the two FCs in Harumi, Anna, and Rampax, and they are just looking to take this all the way. The coin has been flipped, and it lands on the side of the Team Malaysia.
Yeah, it turns out if you had doubts whether they could play this map or not, well, they're pretty good. They're pretty good on DT1.
They're pretty good. My bad.
4 million
My bad.
scored.
4 mil. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, Subaru. That's pretty good.
Yeah, a lot more reassuring than the score on DT2 for sure. Yeah, a lot more reassuring. We do see one FC on the side of Denmark. Unfortunately, not enough. There was a bit of a path with Pol holding as long as he did, but trading with Mint Breeze, unfortunately, he just kind of spilled the beats for them. That was rough to see on the side of Denmark. I mean, you know the potential was there. It's only this one or two misses here and there, but Malaysia just not giving away any hope for Denmark, and now it's 4-1 match point Malaysia. I mean, we're gonna see Denmark's next pick, so it's not quite over just yet.
Hopefully.
It is looking pretty strong for Malaysia right now. They have been playing so well, and not just today, but in this entire group, also taking the win against Vietnam, despite missing one of their core players. Malaysia this year is just looking like one of those stronger teams in the contender groups.
Yeah, that's right. And then DT1 victory opens up so many more avenues for their roster, right? You know, you can look at Free Mod 3, you can look at DT2, and you make the Hard Rock 2, which I think would be one of Denmark's better picks, all the more, you know, ambiguous, all the more scary for the Danish roster. But I don't really know what Denmark has in store for us moving forward. Really, again, I'm going back and looking at the Hard Rock 2 as a pretty good shout. Maybe this is where we see the hidden. I think this is where we need to see the hidden one. It's now or never, really.
Yeah, I do agree that the hidden one would be a good pick right now in this context. Probably one of the better opportunities to get a second point on the board, but still no hidden one in this match from Denmark. It is going to be Nomad 4, and I don't dislike this pick. It is I think it's still a strong pick, but once again, kind of surprised to not see hidden one at this stage. It was their strongest map against Taiwan, so yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're gambling more on whether Malaysia can play this map very well or not. So
yeah. I think a lot of respect. I think it's respect, right, Subaru? Denmark respects the Malaysian roster when it comes to the hidden, so they're not willing to take that sort of risk. I think that's the key at the end of the day.
Yeah, probably. Also, it's true Malaysia has some players capable of playing hidden. However, their hidden roster was a little impacted by the only roster change they had this year, subbing out Wuhua, who was
Oh.
their hidden carry. So that's why I was expecting a little bit more from Denmark on the hidden, and not taking that route. But let's see if they can make something happen on the Nomad 4.
Yep. But let's bring it back onto the ground. I do think that, of all the picks that Denmark could have gone into, Nomad 4 is definitely not the worst shout in the world. Denmark had a pretty decisive outscoring on the Malaysian roster when it came to the qualifiers. Nomad 4, I believe, about 100k higher than the Malaysian roster. So for what it's worth, this Nomad 4 is not too dissimilar. Well, you can't really call anything similar to whatever Helgo is doing in his mapping style, but this map is also all about that slider tech, with the slider ticks found in a bunch of the big sliders, slider discipline, and your discipline to actually trace and aim the sliders, definitely going to be put to the test. I said it last match, this was picked, and I'll say it again. This map plays like there are a lot of landmines that you need to thread your way through. So, every single combo, every single slider, every single bit of combo that you can hold is always going to be on thin ice. But with that said, I believe this is a OS original for the Catch World Cup, and this is a Wispy remap, standard remap. So you love to see it. Let's jump straight into Heliosphere.
This is another one of those shorter maps, so you really can't afford, even just the early miss can make the difference. Also, I think the accuracy is going to be a major factor in this one, as we have seen quite a few teams struggle on the AC on this map. As we go in this opener of the Nomad 4, so far the AC looks to be pretty even, the score is flickering. It is very early in the map, perhaps a bit more stability on the side of Malaysia, confidence as well, probably on their side, not having their backs against the wall the way Denmark has.
Yep, and when already in the earlier sections of this map does not let out instantly attacking these players if all of these sliders pool. Gonna be the first one to draw first blood on the side of Denmark. Now 4 FCs to 3, Malaysia gonna push an early score lead. But once again, it's really just the entire lobby getting used to the tempo of the map as Chiyu finds a miss right before the slower, more calmer section of the map. Well, I say calmer, but this is the tapping section of the map. This is where flow aim is king. And with that recovery from pool, it is going to push that scoreline slightly in favor of the right side.
Yeah, but you also see the really, oh my god, that's a lot of misses. That's Mabayu, Chiyu, and Sobu. But that favors Denmark a little bit more, the combo department. But I was going to say, you really do see the comfort difference on the accuracies. You see someone like Sobu holding the 98% despite the slider break. Then you see accuracies like a Hot Dog 93, Imville 92. It really, really depends on how comfortable you are with those fast sliders. Pole also down at 92. So despite the high combos on Denmark, the lead is not going to fly away too quickly just too soon. And still halfway of the map to go through.
Yep, and we're probably getting into the hardest section of this match. We are currently double 600 combos on both sides. Pool basically matching up against Chiyu. Everybody facing off against their counterpart. This section is all about that slider reading. So easy to over-aim, so easy to misread on a bunch of these patterns, but currently nobody in the lobby is faced. We move into the last of the map. Pool is going to be the one to go down, and that is going to cause the score to slowly but surely shift in favor of the left side. Here we go. It passes that 50k margin. We're getting to the 30k. We're getting to the likes of 30k, and with that, we're just waiting for more action to happen in the scoreline. The map slows down for just a little bit, but after this, it's gonna heat right back up. And here we go. The big sliders come in to attack the players. It's do or die now. Malaysia takes the score.
Oh my god.
But Hot Dog falls. That is huge. But Ironville unfortunately trades blow for blow. But Mabayu goes down. Things are still competitive going to the very last seconds of the map. But Chibi Maruko holding down the anchor, beating out the Bishiona towards the very end. And Malaysia will be riding that freight train all the way to victory.
This was so close and tense towards the end, but Malaysia, unfortunately for Denmark, just pulling ahead right at the end. As you did mention, Chibi Maruko with the standout performance backed up by Chiyu. The Bishiona did everything he could, but unfortunately this is going to be a break point and the final point of this match. Malaysia taking it 5-1 over Denmark. Denmark, though, a strong showing, strong fight. Honestly, props to them to getting that point on the board with the Hard Rock 1 pick, the beloved Hard Rock 1 pick. And this Nomad 4 on paper, we were questioning it, and it was very close. So the pick does look like it made sense, but unfortunately, Malaysia just being slightly ahead on this one. And man, Malaysia now 2-0 in this group. And you start to wonder if Taiwan may not be as much of favorites as we were saying earlier, as Malaysia may have something to say about this.
Yeah, that's gonna be a match to watch, definitely, right, Subaru? And just to go back to talk about the Danish roster just a little bit, despite the fact that the points might not signal otherwise, I think this was a much closer match than both you and I anticipated. There were a lot of points, like I'm thinking of the Nomad 4, the DT2, where Denmark definitely could have pulled ahead had they just gotten a better run, had it been a better day for them. But at the end of the day, the group stage, it's all about coin flips, it's all about dice rolls, and when you're going up against a team that's higher seeded than you, you're playing a rigged game, you're playing with a loaded dice. But I think with that, I mean, we still have a bunch more matches lined up for you. I believe right after this one at 16 UTC, we'll be seeing Singapore versus Hong Kong, which I will definitely be watching, because the entire group, the H in Group H stands for the Group of Hell. So every single match from that group is definitely going to be one to watch. But any thoughts before we move into that match, Subaru?
Oh, we had quite a hoot predicting this group a few days ago. That was very, very funny to do. Overall, yeah, the group is looking pretty tight. We had earlier today the other two teams of this group facing off, Japan taking it 5-1 over Greece, and now Singapore, Hong Kong. I think for a lot of people, a lot of viewers, this match is going to be interesting because it's going to really put an end to the question